Okay, so this is going to be a quick review on multiplying. And dividing. Integers. So from our last discussion, okay, there are some very simple rules that you have to memorize. And once you memorize them, understanding how to multiply and divide integers is very simple. So if I'm multiplying a positive times a positive, you ignore the positive and negative symbols. Just multiply the numbers, okay? And then your answer will always be a positive. If I'm multiplying a negative times a negative, again, you ignore the symbols, multiply the numbers, and your answer will always be a positive. If I'm multiplying a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive, my answer will always be negative. Okay? You ignore the symbols, multiply the numbers, okay, and put the appropriate answer. So if I'm doing negative 2 times negative 2, okay, I ignore the two negative symbols. Okay? I multiply 2 times 2.
People from the side can.
2 times 2 is 4. Okay? Now I know that when I'm multiplying a negative times a negative, my answer is always going to be a positive. Okay? And the same goes if I'm multiplying a positive times a negative.
Okay.
So if I'm multiplying a positive times a negative, okay. For example, let's do negative 3 times positive 2. Okay? Ignore the symbols and just multiply the numbers. 3 times 2 equals 6. I look at my symbols and I say I'm multiplying a positive times a negative. So that always is going to be a negative. My answer is negative 6. Okay? And these rules also apply with division. Okay? A positive divided by a positive gives you a positive. A negative divided by a negative gives you a positive. And then the exact same when it's a negative divided by a positive and a positive divided by a negative. Those are both going to be negative. So a quick, simple question here. Negative 10 divided by 5. Ignore the symbols. Okay? 10 divided by 5 is 2. I look at my symbols now after I've divided the two numbers, 10 divided by 5. I say I'm dividing a negative by a positive. So my answer is always going to be a negative. So the answer actually is negative 2. And if it was negative 10 divided by negative 5, the answer would have been positive 2. And that's a quick review of multiplying and dividing integers.